Mexico's new president, Claudia Sheinbaum, has promised tough action against those responsible for the killing of 6 migrants earlier this week. A group of soldiers opened fire on a truck in the southern state of Chiapas, killing 6 migrants and wounding 10. It happened on a common trafficking route for people trying to reach the US border. The soldiers claim they heard explosions and opened fire after the truck failed to stop at a military patrol. And here is the president speaking about the incident.
This
is first and foremost a regrettable incident that must be investigated and punished. The soldiers who fired the shots have already been handed over to the Attorney General's office, and the Attorney General must now investigate the events and establish whether the commanders also bear responsibility or only the soldiers who fired the shots.
All right, let's get more on this from journalist Andalusia Knoll Soloff, who joins us from Mexico City. Thanks for joining us on DW News. So tell us more about the investigation into this tragic incident.
Well, it is a positive step that the new president, Claudia Sheinbaum, on her second day in office, said that she will look into it. She did not immediately try to blame the migrants. She said not only will they investigate the soldiers, but also to see if any of the commanders were involved. This is that she has continued with López Obrador's morning pressers. So this is where there was a reporter who specifically asked about it, which made this become a primetime story where it was not really much in the news before because everyone was focused on her inauguration, which took place on October 1st. But it is important to note that the soldiers opening on these migrants and killing 6 of them and hospitalizing 10 others, this is not the first time that Mexican authorities, be it federal police or National Guard, have fired on migrants. There was a case a few years ago in the northern border where police were actually involved in not only murdering migrants, but also incinerating the trucks and their bodies. So this comes in the context of increased militarization in the country, whereas in the government of the former president, López Obrador, there was more deployment, both of the army and also of the National Guard, and in response to increased pressure from the United States for Mexico to prevent people coming in at the southern border, the National Guard was deployed to the southern border. The National Guard is now part of the army, and these were soldiers that had to open fire.
All right, let's talk about that militarization, because the UN has recently expressed concern about the growing role that the Mexican military has taken in public security. Tell us, why is this seen as a problem?
There is less accountability with the army. If someone commits a possible human rights violation, they are tried in military courts as opposed to civilian courts. So therefore, there is a lot more room for these abuses to go unpunished. Additionally, there are many studies that show that they increasingly use lethal force. And therefore, if there's an incident that involves the army, it is more likely that there will be civilian deaths and serious civilian injuries. And also, there's a big question about how effective the army is. For example, in the city of Culiacan and the state of Sinaloa right now, for the past 3 weeks, the residents have been barely able to go outside because there have been numerous shootouts, kidnappings, over 100 people killed, over 100 people disappeared, and actually the security officials there said they do not have control. Who has control are the warring groups of organized crime. So it questions, if the army is being deployed to all these places, why can they not have control? And it seemed as a failed security strategy to put more soldiers on the street to respond to the security crisis in Mexico.
Now, Andalusia, we're running out of time, but briefly, you mentioned as well the US here, and I want to know, how does the pressure from the US affect how migrants are dealt with in Mexico? We've got about 30 seconds left.
The U.S. pressures economically when Mexico did not want to enforce some of the U.S. policies. The U.S. said that they would increase tariffs on all the imports coming from Mexico, and Mexico was forced to accept the U.S. migration policies. So basically, the U.S. punishes Mexico if they do not comply with more or less what the U.S. wants regarding migration policy.
We'll leave it there. Thanks so much for that analysis and that update. Andalusia Knoll Soloff joining us from Mexico City. Thank you.